At dawn, a lion hears one human voice beyond the grass and abandons a fresh kill without looking back. A bear catches the scent of a jacket on the wind and turns away from a river crowded with salmon. A wolf pack freezes when a distant door slams, then vanishes between the pines. These animals possess claws, teeth, speed, and strength that our bodies cannot match. Yet the sound of our footsteps can empty a landscape. Why would the deadliest creatures on Earth fear an unarmed primate with soft skin and blunt teeth? The answer begins long before any animal sees the weapon in our hands. It begins with what they have learned about the mind behind those hands. To the wild, a human is not merely another predator. A human is a predator that refuses to follow the ordinary rules. Most hunters chase when hungry, stop when tired, and specialize in prey they can overpower. Humans can hunt without hunger, travel beyond exhaustion, and kill animals larger than themselves. We can appear in daylight, return after dark, and strike from distances no natural hunter can reach. We can hide our scent, imitate calls, reshape terrain, and remember every escape route. We can cooperate with strangers and pass successful methods to children who were not present. No fang reveals this danger when an animal first sees us. The animal sees a fragile shape, but its inherited caution whispers that the shape can summon fire. Today, we will enter the animal mind and discover how humans became the predator that predators avoid. The journey begins on a dry African plain where a field biologist named Mara watches a lioness through binoculars. The lioness, Keto, rests beneath an acacia while hyenas circle the remains of a zebra. Keto ignores their laughter because she knows exactly how close they dare to come. She understands hyenas, their hunger, their numbers, and the limits of their courage. Then a vehicle door clicks several hundred meters away. Keto lifts her head before the birds react. Her ears rotate toward the sound, and the muscles along her shoulders tighten. She leaves the carcass, calls once to her cubs, and disappears into the grass. The hyenas hesitate, but they remain. Mara lowers her binoculars and studies the empty place beneath the tree. The lioness surrendered food to avoid a creature she could easily kill. Keto did not calculate human muscle against lion muscle. She responded to a history written through encounters, smells, sounds, and survival. Some may have been shaped by generations in which the boldest animals did not return. Fear is not weakness in the wild. Fear is a decision made faster than conscious thought. Every animal lives inside a map of danger. A mouse avoids shadows that resemble an owl. Natural predators usually occupy a recognizable place on that map. Humans can redraw the entire map. An animal cannot predict us using the rules that govern other hunters. That uncertainty magnifies fear. In a northern forest, a tracker named Elias kneels beside bear prints pressed into wet soil. The prints lead toward berry bushes heavy with fruit. A second trail crosses them, marked by the narrow tread of a hiking boot. At that crossing, the bear tracks reverse direction. The animal abandoned easy food after detecting a human path. The bear does not need to understand rifles, traps, or habitat destruction. It only needs to associate human signs with outcomes that are difficult to survive. Watching another animal flee can teach the same lesson without direct injury. Mothers can transmit caution through alarm calls, body posture, and route selection. Young animals learn which scents make adults silent. They learn which clearings are crossed quickly and which valleys are avoided entirely. Over time, fear becomes culture. Culture allows knowledge to outlive the individual that first discovered the danger. A raised tail, a sudden freeze, or a sharp call can carry a warning through generations. This means the wild may remember us even where active hunting has declined. It survives in behavior. To understand why that memory became so powerful, we must compare humans with ordinary predators. A cheetah is built for speed, but its chase lasts only a short distance. A crocodile dominates the water's edge, but loses much of its advantage on open land. Each predator owns a narrow set of strengths. Prey survive by learning the boundaries of those strengths. They climb where the crocodile cannot follow. Humans break these escape strategies one by one. We are slow, so we create vehicles. We lack claws, so we shape stone, bone, metal, and chemicals into extensions of intention. Our weakness produced invention. Our invention erased the safe zones animals once relied upon. The most important human weapon may be endurance. Early human hunters could follow prey across heat and distance while reading tracks too small for most predators to notice. The animal sprinted, rested, and sprinted again. The human kept returning. Every time the prey slowed, the upright figure appeared on the horizon. The chase became psychological before it became physical. The hunter only needs to prevent the prey from recovering. For prey, this was a nightmare with footsteps. For competing predators, it was a new kind of rival. Humans could steal carcasses, defend them with coordinated groups, and return with more people after a confrontation. A community was something else entirely. Cooperation transformed scattered primates into a networked predator. Humans coordinate with people beyond sight, across seasons, and eventually across continents. We store information outside our bodies. A drawing can preserve a migration route. A database can track an animal that has never seen the person studying it. No other predator scales knowledge in quite the same way. This allows human danger to arrive before the human does. A road cuts through nesting ground. The predator is no longer just a body. The predator has become a system. Mara sees this system from a research station overlooking the plain. On one wall, colored lines trace the movements of collared lions. The lines bend away from villages, roads, and frequently visited wells. The lions do not merely avoid direct encounters. They reorganize their lives around the possibility of us. Some abandon rich hunting grounds for poorer but quieter areas. Fear changes where they sleep, when they hunt, and how long they remain with a kill. Those choices carry costs. A mother traveling farther must leave cubs alone longer. The shadow of humans can alter survival without a single shot being fired. Ecologists call this a landscape of fear. Wolves can push deer away from exposed valleys. Sharks can keep turtles near protective reefs. The presence of danger moves animals through space like invisible walls. Humans can create walls that stretch across entire regions. The effect becomes clearer when researchers play recorded sounds in the wild. Then human conversation comes from a hidden speaker. Hooves strike the ground, feeding stops. Even large carnivores may leave quickly. The animals are not responding to the loudest sound. They are responding to the most meaningful sound. A human voice carries no claws, yet it predicts countless possible threats. That prediction activates the body before analysis can slow it. Attention narrows toward escape routes. These reactions are useful during brief danger. They become damaging when danger feels constant. Chronic fear can reduce feeding, reproduction, and rest. It can force animals into habitats with less water or weaker shelter. It can separate young animals from protective adults. In this way, fear becomes an ecological force. One frightened animal changes a path. A herd abandons a valley, and the valley changes its vegetation. Vegetation changes insects, birds, and soil. A single predator can influence an ecosystem through chains of behavior. A super predator can influence many chains at once. This does not mean every animal always flees from every human. Animals living near cities may become accustomed to harmless human activity. Large predators defending young or food may attack instead of retreating. Habituation can suppress visible fear without removing danger. A bear beside a garbage bin may look comfortable, but comfort can collapse when distance closes. Aggression is sometimes fear with no safe exit. The crucial question is not whether animals are capable of attacking us. The question is why avoidance is so often their first choice. Avoidance usually wins because a human encounter has uncertain consequences. Compared with another wolf, a human gives fewer reliable signals. We may watch, chase, feed, trap, photograph, rescue, poison, or kill. Two people can behave completely differently toward the same animal. From the animal's perspective, unpredictability is dangerous. An unpredictable predator must be escaped early. This may explain why animals sometimes flee before humans appear close enough to pose an obvious threat. Waiting for proof may have killed their ancestors. Natural selection rewards caution when the cost of a mistake is death. Failing to run once can end a bloodline. When the stakes are unequal, nervous animals often survive. Across generations, avoidance becomes more common in populations exposed to intense human pressure. The cautious remain hidden. If boldness leads to capture or death, the behavioral balance shifts. Humans become a filter acting on animal personality. We may shape which temperaments continue into the future. Elias witnesses two deer at a logging road, where one steps onto the gravel while the other stays beneath the trees. A truck appears around the bend. The first deer leaps away with seconds to spare. The cautious deer's hesitation becomes wisdom when the engine arrives. Yet the story has another side. Animals do not fear an abstract species called humanity. They fear patterns linked to particular human behavior. Where people protect wildlife consistently, some species reduce their escape distance. Where hunting is common, the same species may flee at the faintest sign. A national park boundary can become visible in movement data even when no physical wall exists. Animals learn where human behavior changes. This creates a strange reversal. The feared super predator can also become a shield. Nature does not divide us into simple categories of good and evil. It measures risk. A calm observer at a distance is different from a pursuing hunter. A ranger removing a snare is different from a trader setting one. To wildlife, our moral intentions matter only when they produce consistent patterns. Consistency is something animals can learn. If landscapes were made dangerous, some can be made predictable again. Mara tests this idea near a waterhole used by elephants. The matriarch, Nuru, approaches with her family after sunset. She pauses when she detects the research vehicle. Mara keeps the engine off and remains inside. Nuru waits with one foot raised. A calf touches her side with its trunk. The matriarch lowers her foot and continues toward the water. Weeks later, the herd drinks while the vehicle remains at a respectful distance. Trust does not arrive as affection. It arrives as the absence of a broken pattern. The elephants are not becoming tame. They are updating a risk calculation. Wild animals do not owe humans closeness. Fear keeps animals away from traffic, conflict, and dependence. The goal is to remove unnecessary terror while preserving healthy distance. A world where animals must fear humans everywhere is already dangerous. The balance lies in predictability, space, and restraint. We must become a creature the wild can read. It means keeping distance from nests, dens, and young. It means enforcing rules consistently enough that safe ground remains safe. Small choices become patterns. Animal knowledge becomes the shape of an ecosystem. The twist is that animals may not fear our physical power most. They may fear our ability to change the meaning of every place. A forest can become a road. A feeding ground can become a field of noise and light. We carry transformation with us. That is why a single human sound can represent more than one human body. It can represent vehicles, dogs, weapons, construction, crowds, and disappearance. The animal flees not only from who we are, it flees from what often follows us. But what follows us is not fixed. Tools can kill, and tools can also remove snares. Networks can coordinate exploitation, and networks can also coordinate protection. Memory can preserve hunting methods, and memory can preserve conservation knowledge. The same intelligence that made us terrifying can make us trustworthy. Mara watches Keto again months after the first abandoned kill. The lioness stands on a ridge while the research vehicle remains below. Her cubs play behind her. She does not run immediately. She watches. Mara does not approach. The distance between them stays wide and quiet. Keto eventually turns away, not in panic, but by choice. That moment is small. No dramatic bond forms. No wild predator becomes a friend. Yet the landscape holds less fear than before. The change begins because one human refuses to turn curiosity into pressure. Perhaps the deepest question is not why animals fear us. The deeper question is what their fear reveals about our presence. Every sudden silence is information. Every abandoned trail is a record. Every nocturnal shift is a message written in movement. The wild has been describing us for thousands of years. It describes a patient hunter. It describes a toolmaker. It describes a species that multiplies consequences through cooperation. It describes danger that can cross boundaries other predators cannot cross. But the description is still being written. We decide what the next generations of animals will learn. They can inherit a world where human scent always predicts pursuit. They can also inherit places where human boundaries predict safety. They can learn that roads slow near crossings. They can learn that protected water remains undisturbed. They can learn that distance is respected. They can learn that our intelligence has developed restraint. The deadliest animals may continue to avoid us, and that is not a failure. Respectful distance can be a form of peace. A lion does not need to trust a human hand. A bear does not need to tolerate a close camera. A wolf does not need to appear for our admiration. They only need enough space to live without constantly running from our shadow. We became Earth's most feared predator by escaping our biological limits. We can become something different by choosing moral limits. No claw forces that choice. No instinct guarantees it. The decision belongs to the same mind that animals learn to fear. When the forest falls silent at our arrival, we should hear more than evidence of power. We should hear a warning. Fear is the wild's memory of what humans have done. The future depends on what we teach it to remember next.